we are the organizers of today's event. I'm very proud that for another year we have been able to deliver a top-class event. It's a top event not only in terms of the quantity of delegates, but above all in terms of the quality of delegates. I'm very happy that more or less everyone who is actively involved in shipping today, seriously, is here. We have the majority, if not all, of the publicly listed companies, a lot of private companies, the major banks, investors, financiers, lawyers, and so on. So it's a real who's who of the industry that has come for another year to interact, exchange views and opinions, network, and debate. The topics that we focused on this year were the shipping markets, what is happening in every market, dry bulk, containers, tankers, LNG, LPG, chemical tankers, but also we talked about the broader economy, we talked about the impact of technology on shipping, access to capital, the trends about consolidation and M&A, and of course we talked about one of the biggest topics, current topics in the industry, the upcoming environmental regulations and how these are going to transform the industry. So overall, we had a great event. Our partners in this event for another year were Citibank. We're grateful to them for their contribution and support. And I will close by saying that at lunchtime, we had the opportunity to pay our respects to Mr. Sean Day, the former chairman of TK. Sean Day has a long and distinguished career in shipping, and therefore we have been really privileged to have the opportunity to pay our respects to him. And finally, the keynote speaker was Mr. Paolo D'Amico. He is the new chairman of Intertanko and also the CEO of the D'Amico Group. And he was introduced by Nikos Tsakos, the president and CEO of Tsakos Energy Navigation, who was the outgoing chairman of Intertanko. So overall, another great event. I'm particularly happy to see the turnout and the interaction that took place.
And just going into 2019 and 2020, what's been your biggest takeaway from today?
My biggest takeaway is that is the following. Shipping is a critical component, a very critical component in global economy and trade. Right now, the shipping markets, most of them are not doing, they are in a transition phase, a lot of uncertainties. So investor interest in shipping has been a bit smaller this year. But at the same time, given how important shipping is for the global economy and trade, we see that those who follow the sector, they are here because they want to make sure that they keep up to date with what is happening, and above all, to make sure that they don't miss out on the opportunities. Today, I think shipping presents unique opportunities for investment because of the mispricing, if you want, between the assets in the stock market and the shipping market themselves. Thank you.
One last question. What do you think's been the biggest change that you see in the industry thus far, and how it affects how it's run?
Well, the industry has been changing. We see a lot of consolidation. We see a lot more corporate structures, a lot more transparency. Well, shipping used to be a very fragmented, a very family-oriented, and not particularly transparent business. Now this has changed. So we see companies consolidating, buying one into another, creating scale, being more transparent, being more corporate-oriented. Lots of things are happening in terms, as I mentioned, the IMO regulations, technology. So it has been a period of tremendous transformation in shipping. And another factor has been the changing nature of financing. Bank financing used to be the traditional source of financing for shipping. That's no longer the case. Banks have cut down. We have a lot of new entrants into the business, either mainstream finance through the Chinese lessors or alternative finance, credit funds. So a lot of things have changed in the industry. But again, it shows exactly the nature of the industry. It changes, it evolves, but it's always there, and it always will be there. I'm closing by reminding everybody 90% of global trade is carried on ships. Most people are familiar with airplanes, trucks, railroads, but those carry less than 10%. So shipping will always be there, and I think the lesson we get is that exactly interest to follow up, to look at opportunities is still there.